Okay, so in this week's guitar lesson, we're going to look at a 4-note scale pattern that can absolutely change the way that you sound when you improvise. And I can't believe it's taken me this long to make this video. I think this is going to be a big breakthrough for a lot of you. I'm excited about this week's lesson because it's so practical in so many ways. So this can make you sound faster, at least I think it can. It can definitely help with your synchronization between your left and right hand. But the whole point of it is to give you a creative way, a more creative way to get from one note to another note within a scale. And you get this creative cascading sound. And so we'll explain what that is. I'll give examples of how to do it. I'll show you how you can practice it. All of that as we get into this video. There are some extra materials that come with this week's lesson. There's 12 jam tracks. I created one for each key just for this week's lesson so that you can practice playing this in any key. We're going to be looking at it in the key of G, but obviously with 12 jam tracks you can play in any key. So you have that, and then there's the practice material. So there's tab and a jam track for the practice, and that's going through each of the 5 positions of the minor pentatonic scale. So if you've ever struggled with your minor pentatonic scale, trying to understand how to play it and commit it to memory, this is a great exercise just for that, but then you get this added benefit of the 4-note scale pattern. So if you want those extra materials, you can get those by going to activemelody.com, go to the weekly lessons page, and do a search for EP549. Okay, so we're going to be demonstrating, I'll be demonstrating all of this in the key of G, and we're going to start off and we're going to be looking at the minor pentatonic scale, by the way. We're going to be in pattern 1, I don't want to say pattern because I'm talking about scale patterns, position 1 of the minor pentatonic scale. So we'll be here. This is the one that you know. This is, most of you know this anyway. The position 1, this would be like your E shape if we're thinking cage system. So that's my E shape. These 3 fingers are making the E shape, even though we're in the key of G. And so the way that this 4-note pattern works is, if we were to start here on the 6th fret, 1st string with our pinky, we're going to play down the minor pentatonic scale from here. But we're going to go down 4 notes and then stop. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to stop there, and then we're going to go back up, but not back to where we started. We're going to go to the next note in the scale, the next note down. So from here. So 3rd fret, 1st string. So we'll go. So I go 4 notes down from that. And that's the pattern. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we go to the next note, which would be here, 6th fret, 2nd string, and we go down 4 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you just keep cascading down that way. So it sounds like this when you put it together. Right? It's a more creative sound as opposed to going. You just get a more pretty cascading sound as you play down the scale. And so there's a lot of use cases for why you'd want to do this. I'll give examples of that as we get into it. But anyway, that's how it works, is you start at the top and you work your way down. Now, you don't always have to start at the top. You can start at any note in that scale. So I could start here, for example. I could go. Right? And you don't always have to go a certain number. You can go down just a little bit. You can go, right? So you can jump on or off the train at any point. The point is to go down 4, you go back, you go down 4, you go back. And that's the deal. Now, you don't always have to go down the scale. You can go up the scale as well. So we could start at the bottom of the scale, 3rd fret, 6th string, and we could go up like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Same principle. Then we go to the next note. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's like. It sounds like that. Now, it sounds really cool when you play it fast like that, sort of 16th notes. You don't have to play this fast. There are no rules on this. And I'll give you some examples of ways you might think about timing. But you could go. Right? You could take it slowly. You don't have to go fast. The speed thing just creates a different sound, but you don't have to do it that way. So that's how it works. You can start at any point in the scale, and you can go down or up. Or you could start at the bottom of the scale, work your way up, and then reverse and go back down in the same run. So you could go. Right? You can go up and down. You know, there's no rules to this. As long as you're following that little pattern of 4 notes, go back, 4 notes, go back. So that's how it works. Now, I'm going to be showing this obviously in the minor pentatonic scale. You could do this in any scale. You could do it in the natural minor scale. You could do it in the major scale. This works for any scale there is. It's just following a pattern. So that's another benefit of this. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, this will help you really understand your pentatonic scales. If you've struggled with each of the 5 positions, really knowing the notes, this is a great exercise for that. So what we just looked at was pattern 1. If I were to come up into, I should say position 1, if we were to come up into position 2 of the minor pentatonic scale, it's in this position, right? Now I can apply that same principle, what we just did here. I can do it for each of the positions. So I can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Play down my pattern position 2 minor pentatonic scale that way. I can also go back up. So it works down and up for each of the positions. And you can see how challenging that can be, especially if you're not really familiar with your pentatonic scale. And so it's gonna force you to really work it out. And so the practice materials that come with this has a jam track, and it has me showing examples of each of these 5 positions and how to play it. I have the slow version and a fast version. And as I mentioned, you don't have to play it fast. You could go. In fact, in the beginning, you're definitely not going to want to play it fast. You're going to want to go as slow as you can. Just like that. The other thing to pay attention to as you're going through this is what the right hand is doing. It's just down, up, down, up, down, up. That's it. It's alternate picked with the right hand. You start with a downstroke and then you just let it do its thing. Down, up, down, up. Even as you're jumping across strings, it's always down, up. The next note is always the opposite of the direction you just played. And so it's that combination of the down, up strokes with the right hand and then moving your fingers with the left hand that creates that synchronization. That's what makes you play faster, is once you can get things in sync, you can start to speed up. But until they're in sync, you can't do that. It took me years to figure that out. Nobody ever told me that. But I always had sync problems, not speed problems. I was fast with my right hand, fast with my left hand, but they weren't always in sync. It wasn't until I could get them in sync that I could start to speed up. I'm still not a fast player, but I'm a lot faster than I used to be. All right, so somebody out there is going, okay, cool, I got the pattern, but like, what do we do with it? Well, here's where it gets really cool. Once you understand how to use it and how to practice it like that, you can apply this when you're playing any kind of lead. So if I were to, for example, I'm just playing a minor pentatonic scale, pattern 1, position 1. Watch this. See what I mean? I can just work those in. I can. Now, the more of this you do, the better you'll get at which note you land on. I'm trying to land on the root note, which is my G. You can see I changed the timing there to make it resolve to the G note there. And that's something you can just do in real time. The more of it you practice, the better that you'll get at that. So that kind of thing. So it's just a much more creative way of getting from one point to the next. Now let me put on a jam track, and I'm going to demonstrate some more of this so that you can hear it in context with a jam track. Okay, so I have the jam track that's playing, and it's just one chord. So, and that chord has the root, and it has the fifth. Just those two notes, two-note chord. And I left out the third interval because I wanted to be able to make this thing go major or minor. The third interval dictates. So I can make it go major, totally works, or I can go minor, listen. So either way, and that means the same is true with my scales. I could go, there's my minor pentatonic, or here's my major pentatonic. So either way, it's going to sound right over this jam track. I wanted to leave it open like that so you could practice playing either way. Now let's listen to some of these 4-note scale patterns in context with the jam track. There's just some normal, simple playing. Now watch this. Hear it? So everything I was doing there was minor pentatonic. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But I could do major pentatonic scale as well. So remember, we looked at minor pentatonic scale, and then we went up to position 2 up here. Right? But in this same position where I started, I've got position 2 of my major pentatonic scale. So I can do that kind of Allman Brothers kind of thing. That's kind of a Dickie Betts kind of sound. And look at what I'm doing. So there's 2 instances of that pattern. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I just threw that in. Let me get on time here. Okay, so that's how it sounds with the jam track. Now here's another way I want you to think about practicing this. For those of you that are going to be practicing along with the jam track, you can play 16th notes the way that I'm doing, like this. That's tricky to do though. So what you may want to do is start with 8th notes using the same jam track. So do it like this. Now if you're not ready for 8th notes, you could break it down even further into quarter notes like this. You go. Right? So you just find the one that works best for you. All right, well, hopefully you're starting to see some of the benefits of this 4-note scale pattern and how it can really help you understand your scale. If you're working on your pentatonic scales, this forces you to be able to go top to bottom in either direction and really play it when you have to do the 4-note scale pattern thing. It also helps with your speed. As you improve your accuracy with your left and right hand, it will make you play faster and get that synchronization happening. So lots of benefits. I'm going to close with a video of me just improvising. It's about 40 seconds. It's not very long. But this is me taking that same jam track we just played over. I'm going to improvise a little something, and I'm going to work in that 4-note scale pattern in a few spots. I'll kind of point it out on the video where I do that. And if you're a premium member, I've tabbed that out as well. So you have tab for that, and you can go through that and learn how to play that note for note if you want to. Anyway, that's what I have for this week's lesson. I hope you've enjoyed this. We'll see you next week for something new.